Hello again, fellow homesteaders. Today we're going to be making my homemade fly spray. I mixed around different concoctions and ingredients and amounts until I came up with something that worked. Probably, 4 years ago or so now. And when you spray this on you, because it does have a vinegar base, it is going to smell. You are not going to smell pretty. But just like when you use vinegar as a rinse in your dishwasher or your clothes washer, or you make your own mopping solution with it, the smell dissipates very quickly. If you're going to put this on and go to a party on the first date so you're not eaten up with bugs at the cookout, you might not get a second date, depending on the guy. But otherwise, it's not a big deal with the smell. I lathered up with it, and so did a cousin when we were camping at a primitive campground, horseback riding one weekend. Everybody laughed and teased us about how bad we smelled at the beginning of the 5-hour ride. By the end of the 5-hour ride, we were the only ones and so were our horses, that were not pestered by horseflies, flies, gnats, mosquitoes, bees. So after that, everybody wanted a jug of my fly spray. I already have my vinegar in here. When I get down to a low spot on a vinegar jug, I tend to decide it's time to make some more. So in here, I already have my 4 cups of vinegar as a base. Now I'm going to add my 1 cup of Blue Dawn. You can use any type of dish, my cool old-fashioned metal measuring cups. My grandmother would be quite clangy. I apologize for that. You can use any type of dish soap that you want. I have found that Blue Dawn works heads and tails better than any other type. And when I was looking up different home remedies and recipes for different types of things to make, everybody always says liquid dish soap, or they use Blue Dawn. And that's what I've tried, and it just seems to work the best. I'm not sure why. Use what you want, but I don't think there's much of a cost difference, so I would suggest sticking with the Blue Dawn. I'm actually measuring today. I've done this so often. It's like when you're asking your grandma for a family recipe for a cake or pie or something she's done for years, and she tells you a little bit of this or a pinch of that, and it's so frustrating because it doesn't turn out right. And so I want to make sure that I measured when I did this, because I've not measured for so long. So there's the 1 cup of Blue Dawn. And now we're going to do a 1/4 of a cup of the witch hazel. Now if you're going to make this in a jug like I am, I suggest having a funnel handy. It does make it easier. Since I'm actually measuring things out, I'm not pouring it directly in the jug like I normally do, which makes it an easy transfer. But I have no idea where the cooking and canning funnels are at the moment. We're in the middle of a new pantry project and moving things around, but it's not taking that much of a mess or extra time actually to use our measuring cup to pour it in. So I have my vinegar, 4 cups. I have my witch hazel, a 1/4 of a cup, and I have my 1 cup of the Blue Dawn. I am now going to add the 2 tablespoons of mouthwash. You could do 1, you could do 2, you could do 3. There's something in the antiseptic mouthwash, and I'm using the kind I had on hand, but when I make big batches of this, I just buy the cheapest generic that I can find. And like the difference between Blue Dawn and other liquid dish soaps, it really does not seem to make any difference. I'm going to go ahead and put a 3rd one in there. Like I said, I ballparked the measurements on this. Making sure you have enough vinegar and witch hazel and Blue Dawn is the important base part. Everything else is awesome and helps and plays a significant role, but if you do not have enough Blue Dawn and vinegar, it's not going to be very potent. Now I'm putting in my tea tree oil. I've had all kinds of people, homesteading friends and prepper friends at events and different things, tell me how great this blah 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 oils are. I don't pay an expensive price for them. I use tea tree oil for so many things. I often buy the Walmart brand, and I find it works just fine. But without any type of a paid endorsement of any type, I often use Puritan's Pride just because it's good quality, and they frequently have buy 1 get 2 or buy 1 get 3 or whatever deals going on. So I can go ahead and put my squirts in here. A squirt would just be, you turn it upside down, a little is going to drip out, as you can hopefully see. You can just let it drip out for about 3 seconds, or go ahead and give a couple little tugs. This jug I'm making is for the horses in particular, so I don't have to worry quite so much about the amount of tea tree oil that I use. If you're going to be using this on young children or young livestock or small breeds, like even chickens, to keep the mites off of them, or rabbits, tea tree oil can cause a nervous system problem. It can be mild, like an allergic reaction in a person, Or it could actually sting and put a little rash on their skin, and if it's a severe reaction, it could give them seizure issues, which could be very serious. I have never ever had a single problem with tea tree oil. When I make this, put on your young grandchildren that range from, well, there's one that's an adult, but the other ones range from 1.5 years to 8.5 years. I've always reduced the amount of tea tree oil by half, and it's still potent, and I've never had a problem. I have noticed we're in the middle of the summer and there's lots of flies or lots of mosquitoes. I do have to apply more frequently when I do that with the adults, even with the kids, but I'd rather err on the side of caution. Okay, now I'm going to put in my mineral oil. I have found that mineral oil and olive oil seem to work best as long as you use one of the recommended carrier oils. It will be fine. You need something to thicken it up a little bit so it coats and sticks to the skin and doesn't rub off quite so easily, especially if you're sweaty. If you forget about putting something on till you're getting eaten up or annoyed by flies and put some on, I recommend wiping the sweat off of you or dry it off if you're just gotten out of the pool or the lake. That container of mineral oil didn't have much left. I wanted to use it up, so I am mixing actually the amounts with the olive oil and the mineral oil, and that's fine. You're not eating it. You're just putting it on here. Most of the time I use vitamin E gels, gel caplets, and I poke a hole in them and squeeze them in, and I just toss the caplet right down in there and let it stay too. It doesn't tend to clog up a spray bottle even. But I decided to go ahead and use aloe vera this time because it is going on the livestock, and sometimes they've already gotten bitten by different things. And this is a thick oil like the vitamin E, and it will also help it, stay together and not go off the skin. But the aloe vera has some healing properties. It will help coat any bites it might already have and take out any sting that the vinegar will have. It's just like using antibacterial lotion on your hands. Any little crack or cut you have on your hands, you'll know it, just like with the vinegar. The vitamin E or the aloe vera tends to contradict that. So I've added my vitamin E and my carrier oils, my mouthwash, my witch hazel, my vinegar, my tea tree oil, and the Blue Dawn. So all that's left to do now is put the lid back on. It's a great reason you keep these jugs around. And give it some shakes. It gets a little foamy, but the foam dissipates after a bit. So you can see that it's quite foamy. I'll let it sit here. Now I could go ahead and pour it right into a squirt bottle. And even with the oils in there, even with the addition of the extra aloe vera gel, it will still come out of the squirt bottle without clogging. And I just get squirt bottles from the Dollar Tree, so not some fancy squirt bottle from a garden store, and they still work just fine. I'm going to go ahead and leave mine in the jug because this one is going to sit in the tack room. And I can just go ahead and walk to the horses, take it off, and go ahead and rub some on their rump or everywhere else I want to do to lather them up pretty good. They don't like the smell of it. I don't imagine your livestock will either. So you might want to go ahead and hold on to a halter the first time, or have somebody help you. Excuse me, have somebody help you and apply it as quickly as possible. So if I hold my Ruby by her halter and pour this on her rump and rub it in, it's much quicker than squirting and getting it around her tail area. Then I'll rub it around her neck and above her head. You want to make sure you go light on the animals, on their head or even their ears, and around there, because when they sweat or move, it can get into their eyes and it will sting. It won't hurt them. The sting will dissipate. It'd be just like if you squirted yourself in the eye with it, or you squirt it around your head and to keep bugs off of everywhere, and it gets into your eyes when you sweat or you get wet. So it can sting. They aren't going to like it, but when you put it on it and they realize it is soothing and keeps the flies and mosquitoes and everything else away, they become much more tolerant. At least until the next time you open this up and they get a whiff of it and they want to take off. So be prepared that the critters might not like you putting it on there, but they'll really appreciate that you do. I will squirt myself before I go outside. I can take this jug and sprinkle around the porch. You can sprinkle around the edges of your garden. I don't know that really helps with destructive insects so much, but I've tried it and it doesn't seem to hurt. So I always like trying different remedies to see if they can have multiple uses. So it's a better use of your time and your resources. And this works for animals, it works for people, it works for your yard. So I think for as little bit it takes in time to make it, and the small cost to using a small portion of ingredients, it's much better than definitely buying something chemically infused from a store, or even paying a high price for something you order that it does have natural ingredients, which is great. If you can make it yourself, that's the homesteading way, right?